Will address a joint session of Congress to talk and give his State of the Union address. Among those who will be in the room where it happens is Representative Joaquin Castro. Congressman, thank you for joining us. I know you've got to get to the floor here pretty soon, but in the time we have, what do you expect or what do you want to hear from the president tonight?
What I want to hear is about the road ahead, and Americans are still facing some challenges with inflation, obviously, whether it's the price of gas or cost of different goods when they go shop at H-E-B or Walmart or wherever it may be. So a plan for that, of course. But there's a lot of victories for the president to celebrate over the last few years, bouncing the country back from the worst pandemic that the world has seen in a century, and bringing the unemployment rate in this country to the lowest that it's ever been since 1969. So I think you'll hear the president talk a lot about the economy, but I think the president knows that there's still work to do. And hopefully he'll find a receptive Congress in both Democrats and Republicans who will work with him to tackle these issues for the American people.
Do you feel like there is hope for that, hope for some bipartisan effort now with this new Congress going forward?
You know, I remain eternally hopeful. The Republican Party there's been a lot of infighting, to say the least, among Republicans in Congress so far in the House of Representatives. But look, the president has laid down a marker and said that he's willing to work with any member of the Republican Party, including the Speaker, who's willing to work in earnest on behalf of the American people. Immigration,
obviously something that dominates nationwide, but of course in San Antonio. Do you think there's a bipartisan effort out there to get something done on immigration?
Immigration is one of those issues that Congress should have dealt with a long time ago. We came close in 2014 with a comprehensive immigration reform bill, but it's been difficult since then. So the one thing that gives me hope is the last time there was a real reform bill that moved, passed the Senate with flying colors, and then the Republican Speaker unfortunately refused to put it on the floor for a vote. But that was the last time that we had divided government like this. So if there's any silver lining in the arrangement right now, it is that for immigration, it is that the last time you had this, there was actually a real comprehensive proposal that came from the Senate. And so, yes, I'm hoping that we solve this issue, that we handle it. It's long overdue. I think people agree, no matter what their politics are, that our immigration system is broken and that Congress needs to step up to fix it.
There are a lot of big issues that I'm sure the president will touch on. One of them, of course, being immigration. You mentioned the economy earlier, and that's something that affects all of us day in and day out, no matter where you live across the country. And there has been some improvement there, but is there something that you would tell people to look for in this speech that shows further signs of, things slowing down when it comes to inflation, interest rates, all of those daily reminders of what it's been like the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think they should look for what the president says about stemming the rising cost of housing and rental, apartments in San Antonio and across the country, for example. And also, as you all know, corporate America has been laying off a lot of workers in different parts of the country. So I think the president will likely address that as well. But this is a president who comes into this term of Congress with a very strong track record of creating jobs and bouncing the country back from a very deadly and dangerous virus that we had not seen in over a century. So he comes in with a strong hand here.
All right, so whether it happens or not, we're going to at least keep talking about bipartisanship, Congressman. And when it comes to the debt ceiling, are we going to see movement on that? Do you get the sense that Republicans want to shut the government down at this point? I mean, I have not heard that from the Speaker, but there are some members of his party that have said that.
Yeah, I mean, that's very troublesome. What we've been hearing from Republicans in the House of Representatives is that they want to try to use the debt ceiling as a way to, for some of them, to shut down the government. And so, as Democrats, we have said that, of course, we're open to negotiating on appropriations, on a budget and so forth. Making sure that we're fiscally responsible. But at the same time, it's the way to do it is not through the debt ceiling debate. That's a matter of the United States paying the bills it already owes. And so, I'm hoping that Republicans will walk back from the brink on that one.
Is tonight's speech, in your view, as much a State of the Union address as it is a campaign speech for President Biden?
I mean, he's in the congressional chamber, so I think it's mostly going to be a celebration of the things that have gone well over the last few years, but also a serious look at what we need to tackle as a country. But of course, those themes are going to overlap, I'm sure, with the kickoff of his presidential campaign here. I would imagine in the next several months. Yeah,
and not just him. I mean, I imagine there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be making speeches, after this that have aspirations for higher office.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think you've already seen a bunch of Republicans start to line up and get ready to run. So the campaign season is coming.
Representative Joaquin Castro, thanks so much for sharing some time with us before the State of the Union tonight. We'll all be watching.
Good to be with you.
Take care. We'll be right back.
Well, you just heard us talking about it. In a little more than an hour, President Joe Biden will deliver his first State of the Union address since Republicans took control of the House.
As Chris Wynn reports from Washington, tonight's speech will also set the stage, as we talked about with the congressman, for a potential 2024 presidential campaign. Here he is with more.
Tonight on Capitol Hill, President Joe Biden will present to what could be his largest television audience of the year.
The American people are going to hear directly from the president tonight about what we've accomplished in the first 2 years, but also about the path forward, about how we're going to keep building on that progress, how we're going to finish the job.
Biden's State of the Union speech will likely focus on the economy and national security, among other topics, as his agenda faces Republican opposition.
Cuts to Medicare and Social Security, they are off the table. Defaulting on our debt is not an option, but neither is a future of higher taxes, higher interest rates, and an economy that doesn't work for working Americans.
The address comes as many Americans push for sweeping gun and policing reform in the wake of two recent national tragedies. Expected in the audience are the parents of Tyree Nichols, the man who died on January 10th after Memphis police stopped him for an alleged traffic violation and brutally beat him. Also invited is 26-year-old Brandon Tsai, the man who disarmed a gunman as he attempted to attack a second location near Los Angeles during a Lunar New Year celebration on January 21st. Ahead of tonight's address, U.S. Capitol Police are ramping up security, including the addition of a non-scalable fence around the Capitol grounds.
It's a sad state of affairs if this is not just a State of the Union and a message to Congress, but it's being done in almost a fortress.
But moving forward, expect a call for compromise in advancing the nation's business.
And showing that we can come together, even in a narrowly divided government like we're facing now.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
Look outside with live cam this evening. A warm evening out there, but it's the rain and those storms that we're watching.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
And warm for now. The cold front, it's through Kerrville. It's headed toward Bernie. It's almost in San Antonio by 9 o'clock. It should be through town here. Most of the action right now in a line on the west side of town and stretching all the way up into parts of Kendall County. And this is where the development is just slowly starting to take place. And we're going to see a lot more of it through the night. Notice those rain chances up to 70% at 9 o'clock all the way through about 2 a.m. And then even tomorrow morning, still a good 60% coverage for the morning commute until it all comes to an end by about noon tomorrow and especially into the afternoon. So expect the showers and storms to ramp up and just gradually become more widespread and then off and on through the night. We'll take a look at the futurecast, talk about how much rain has fallen in some neighborhoods already and a series of cold fronts affecting temperatures.
Which planet has the most moons in the solar system is not really a contest, but if it was, Jupiter would be winning. Scientists say that Jupiter has some new bragging rights. Besides being the largest planet, astronomers recently discovered 12 more moons orbiting Jupiter.
Yeah, that means the total number of confirmed moons outside Jupiter, 92.
Wow.
Can you imagine looking up in the sky at night and seeing 92 moons?
That's crazy.
Astronomers used a high-powered telescope in Hawaii to discover the moons about 20 months ago. A second telescope in Chile captured similar images last August, and follow-up observations confirmed it. Saturn with the second most moons in the solar system with 83. Uranus has 27, and Neptune has 14.
Now I have a new fact to take home to my 5-year-old because he's been teaching me about the solar system lately.
It's a lot of moons.
Yeah. 92. I knew you'd think that was cool.
It is cool. I said over there, that's cool.
I was waiting for you to do your little Jupiter rhyme.
No, not this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep it. Probably wise.
Let's not teach.
Dates back to what? First grade, second grade?
Yeah. Once you said it, I remembered.
It's still locked in the vault.
Yeah.
Still locked in the vault.
There are a lot of people at home who know what you're talking about.
Anyway, let's talk about our rain. I can sometimes be professional. Downpours are starting to develop on the west side of town, stretching up I-10, even into Kendall County. And as the cold front is moving in, basically to Bernie, Bandera, Lake Hills as we speak, I expect this to be the zone of even further development. And by this, I mean this area I'm circling here into Medina County, west side of San Antonio, and up into Kendall County. That general area is where we'll start to see more showers and even some thunderstorms blossoming. But let's pause the radar for a moment. And you look elsewhere, really not much happening. That's going to change. Just you need patience because it's going to change gradually overnight tonight. Here's one downpour headed into Helotes and all these communities right along 1604 near Brandeis High School, 1604, and on the northwest side of town. This is one big downpour right now, and you're going to see more of these develop. So you look at the red on the screen, and that indicates, of course, the very heavy rainfall out there. No hail, no even lightning and thunder, at least not yet with this activity, but I anticipate that to change. Now, within some of these heavy downpours, you check this out. Look at in some of these neighborhoods right along Braun Road, south of Bandera Road. I mean, we're talking an inch of rain already estimated by the radar. So some localized areas and some communities have already seen about an inch of rain where you see the darker green on the screen, but you don't have to travel very far to have just about nothing. I mean, you get to Balcones Heights, little bits, even near Jefferson High School, a little bit of accumulation, but there's this big donut hole right here around 410, just south of downtown, or I should say just northwest of downtown. So it really depends on where you are, and you look at the 12-hour rainfall, and it's very streaky because these showers have been following each other south to north so far today. That's going to be changing again as we go forward in time. Through tonight, we'll see more widespread coverage and more downpours for folks. So let's take a look at our futurecast. More development, there we go, especially west side of town over the next 3 to 4 hours. Overnight tonight, that activity as the cold front slowly moves in, that activity starts to move eastward and is basically just widespread and intermittent off and on, through the night and even morning commute tomorrow. So it's going to be a damp morning commute. And if the lightning and thunder wakes you up in the middle of the night, rest easy knowing that the severe threat is pretty low with this. We could have a few isolated severe storms far east of town, Gonzales, Cuero, Yorktown, and points eastward. But even then, I think it's a bit of a long shot. Then by noon tomorrow, it starts to wrap up. And by tomorrow afternoon, we're looking at some sunshine. The sky's going to clear out a little bit. So here's what we're looking at tomorrow. That 60% chance in the morning. By noon, we're at a 20% chance. And then 4 o'clock, 0% chance of rain with the gradual clearing. 50 degrees early, and then only making it to 60 degrees for the high temperature tomorrow. So actually the high being a little below average and a bit breezy northwesterly wind at 10 to 20. Here's the big picture and what we're looking at in the days ahead. So this is a big broad system. We've got that Gulf moisture coming in at the ground up above us. We've got energy coming in from the southwest, all the classic elements here, and even a cold front that's dropping in. Now the main driving force of the energy is over New Mexico. That's going to be past us basically by tomorrow. That's why we'll start to clear out by the afternoon. Another big disturbance drops in by Friday. That's going to be dry. What it's going to do is give us a reinforcing shot of cool air. And then next week, early in the week, Monday into Tuesday, a similar system drops into northern Mexico, which is good positioning for us to give us some energy and probably some more scattered showers and thunderstorms next Monday night. But with all those systems coming and going, our temperatures are going to be all over the place. Morning temperatures near 50 tomorrow, but 30s on Friday. Even a light freeze on Saturday morning, and afternoons as warm as 72 on Thursday, but as cool as 58 for the high on Friday. So be prepared for a little of everything. But no ice in the days ahead. Not everything, just temperatures.
Had to catch yourself there.
Yeah, I did. Oh, boy. Ooh.
Thanks, Adam.
We'll be right back.
Well, it took a few weeks, but there has finally been a Powerball jackpot winner. The ticket was sold in Washington state. The lucky numbers were 5, 11, 22, 23, 69, and the winning Powerball number was 7.
Yeah, the winner can choose an annuitized prize, or a lump sum of $407 million. It's the 5th largest prize in its history and is the first Powerball jackpot win this year. The next Powerball drawing scheduled for Wednesday night. That jackpot only worth, I say sarcastically, $20 million.
Just a measly 20 mil. All right, is there such a thing as mommy brain? Yes. Next story. A team of scientists say that actually suggesting motherhood is in itself associated with a decline in cognitive abilities may be both wrong and unfair to moms and their brains. I get that. The article was published this week in the journal JAMA Neurology. The authors say the few studies that have tried to investigate whether moms actually suffer from memory loss during pregnancy and postpartum failed to find significant differences in women who have had kids and women without kids.
Casting doubts. But ask new moms, and 8 out of 10 will say they've experienced the memory loss and brain fog, popularly characterized as mommy brain, pregnancy brain, or momnesia. Why the discrepancy? It may be the peace and quiet of the labs where most studies are performed have taken them out of a state of mommy brain, or maybe scientists are simply asking the wrong questions. Myra says it's a thing. Therefore, I believe it.
Out here doing some real world research.
Yes.
All right, today celebrates an important scientific milestone, the development of the periodic table. So today is National Periodic Table Day. On this day in 1863, it was this day that an English chemist named John Newlands published the first table of elements.
Yeah, Newlands only knew of 56 elements at the time, but the 20th century scientists developed the modern periodic table we know today. The elements are arranged by their atomic weight, hydrogen being the lightest. The heaviest element is called organosin. The abbreviation, OG.
Taking your word for it. We'll be right back.
Rain chances ramping up gradually this evening and overnight. It's going to become fairly widespread. This is good. This is the kind of rain we need. Nothing really severe expected except maybe an isolated severe storm far east of town. Otherwise tapering off by tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks for watching the news at 6.
See you back here on the Night Beat at 10.